Welcome to CAPECAST Live. How's it going this evening, gents?
Doing well,
Right,
right?
man.
Cool. We got Chris and Britt back this week.
Britt's looking extra hitsy back there.
Yeah, we got a light off down there, or backlight off.
You got a fan in the chat, Britt.
Oh yeah.
He's also here.
Bringing in all those DSA players.
Nice.
Love it. Nice.
Nice.
Welcome. So let's talk a little Wanda Vision tonight. And Britt,
Sorry, gotta highlight this. People love the beard.
It's true.
I love the beard.
Wait, which beard?
Katie was watching our episode last week, and she was like, "Wow, he's got an incredible beard."
It takes a
Sorry,
while.
Katie, I can't grow one like that. All right.
None of us can.
Yeah, it's nice.
So, episode 8, previously on. Did Britt get you too hyped for this one this week, Brandon, or did he play it cool?
Britt, no, he didn't. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, for those who missed
let
it
us
last
in.
week, their high expectations were set from Britt for the last episode for Brandon, and they didn't live up to Brandon's expectations.
Nothing does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Some things.
Well, welcome to CAPECAST. As I said, this is a place where we love talking about all things geek, and we invite you to follow us on Twitter at CAPECAST Show. Obviously, if you love talking about this stuff, hit the subscribe button, and be active in the chat because we love talking with you guys. So I guess to start things off, let's do the usual: go around the horn and give general thoughts on the episode. Chris, start with Chris this week.
Oh, we start with me.
Yeah.
This one's a little different for me. I've got more of a positive outlook after this episode. I feel like we're finally back in the MCU. No filler that I was kind of getting through. I really liked how they kind of justified things, and I think they did as good a job as they could to maybe make this a show that you want to go back and watch the other episodes. Maybe people were already like that, but for me, I just hadn't been to that point yet. So, thumbs up for me finally.
Nice. And let's go diagonal. Brandon,
Oh, me.
what do you think?
Yeah, I like this episode. I've seen a lot of like people kind of complaining that it didn't really move things along much. It kind of just like, I guess, fleshed out what we already kind of assumed was going on with Wanda. But it was good to at least, I thought that for her end, it was good to like get her perspective on things, kind of progressing post. Well, not just post, like Endgame.
Do we need to?
Or
I'm
Infinity
gonna
War. But
stop you there for a second. Do we need to like start a fifth screen just for like beard?
speaking
cam?
of,
Like,
speaking of, this guy was supposed to be on our recording tonight.
he's not in the right. He's not in the right state of mind, Brandon. That's
Right.
That's
what he
right.
told
Have
us.
you guys made like a 5-panel layout yet, or
Well,
still
No,
working on
not
that?
yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
still got to
really
figure
just
that
by
out. Sorry,
graphic
Brandon. You can
limitation.
continue. I'm just trying to
no,
give the
it's
beard
okay.
the recognition.
I just got to
it
call him
deserves.
out because an excuse of state of mind was a little weak, Rusty. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. He's sorry. Everybody, he's sorry. Okay. We forgive you. Oh, yep, he's right. He did say his brain is mush, but that's
Yeah.
pretty normal, right? I don't know.
That's typical Brandon misquoting. That's all right.
Well, anyway, but yeah, I liked. It kind of made me want to go back and watch Age of Ultron because it's been forever since I'd seen that, and that's kind of where obviously she was introduced,
Sure.
as well as Pietro. Yeah, I mean we'll get into it, but yeah, I like this episode. Thought it was good. I mean, I didn't think it moved the needle too much, but it was good to get a little bit of, I guess, backstory for.
So stock
What?
up or down from last week for you?
I mean, probably up. Probably up.
Britt will take it.
Yeah.
Brandon,
Yeah.
did you
Well,
rewatch Age of Ultron?
No, I mean I'm not gonna, but
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I was like, I want to
He
rewatch
came
it. and I
close.
just
He
didn't.
came close.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
All right,
James
Britt,
Spader.
what you got?
Yeah, from my spot. I mean, I think the biggest thing, and this is what I expected from all these series, to be honest, is like to give you more backstory, to give you more depth to the characters. So I'm sure we're going to see more of this from Falcon Winter Soldier, and all the other properties are going to be coming out. But I think this is a good way of doing it, so you weren't hit with it in the first couple episodes, but now we really get the backstory of what happened while they were doing experiments, what happened when she was growing up, where did powers and such, and it was said in the chat too, like it's also really good that they were able to kind of also give you a little bit of Agatha's backstory without again having to waste 20 minutes of a show to do it. They did it really quickly, but gave you enough detail, and we'll talk about it a little bit, but I also love how now you can figure out where those commercials kind of fit in to these flashbacks, and maybe potentially what they point to. So even though a lot of them we could guess already, but I really enjoyed how they did it, and it wasn't too much.
Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely stock up on this this episode. Like you said, I enjoyed the flashback. I was a little worried when it started that was gonna eat up too much clock. And, we were gonna get the usual like no meat kind of deal. Yeah. And I'm digging that they're finally, and spoilers, everybody, we're gonna have a spoiler splash graphic for you here, but we're still working on it. So, but spoilers. So if anybody hasn't seen the episode, now's probably the time to duck out. But I like how they're finally it seems like they're finally gonna be leaning into the actual Scarlet Witch side of her versus her just being Wanda. And I'm on the DC side, I'm all about incorporating as much like comic material into these kinds of shows and movies, and Marvel has done a great job of doing that, but also kind of making a lot of it more digestible, like Scarlet Witch. Like she's a character that's more easily understood when they kind of introduced her the way they did, but it's cool to finally see her making this transition. So I super enjoyed that part of this episode. But I guess we can start out talking about that flashback in general. And I'll get the conversation started by saying this whole show I really enjoyed Catherine Hahn's character, her acting, and she crushed it in this episode for me. It's so weird to see her not in like a SNL ish comedy role for whatever reason. That's what I had seen her in. But yeah, I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on.
You trying to stuck in like Step Brothers?
Yeah. I thought she was good. I did think as far as the whole witch crucifixion, whatever, that whole scene, I thought that it was a little awkward because she was tethered to that post, and her fighting back was weirdly she just had this beam out of her stomach coming out. She wasn't physically fighting back. It was just some I wish that she had some sort of physical something I know that they couldn't because her hands were tied behind her back, but and I guess maybe it was intentional because maybe it's some sort of defense mechanism / something awakening inside her type thing that they're just trying to put out there. But and I don't know how you would film it otherwise, but it felt awkwardly staged a little bit to me as far as how it worked out. But it was cool to see. But I like the twist that it was and then they had the de-aging effect on her, which was it's kind of hit or miss. So
I'll be honest with you, I didn't even realize they did that.
No, really?
Yeah. I guess it was a good job.
No, and I like what Chris was hinting at too about the reversal of it being the Covenant instead of the people, because in the comics,
villagers,
her backstory, it was villagers putting her to burn at the stake, and so that little flip again, kind of coming back from the comics, was kind of a cool nod, but a different way of doing it. I don't know if you had more
explain
to
me,
that, Chris.
Explain it. Sorry, Chris, I'll let you talk after this, but I was curious. We were talking about the energy beam and stuff. So is chaos magic like a thing in the comics? Like, is that like the terminology chaos magic? Is that a thing?
That was always like Scarlet Witch's thing. And I never read any of her solo comics. I never read any of the backstory, anything that had Agatha in it. I read a lot of like crossover things from Scarlet Witch and Avengers things related to her. So maybe it dives into it more, but I just know they would refer to her magic as chaos magic. Kind of like how she could like warp reality based on like probability and things, but I in no way am an expert on like what it's supposed to be really.
Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that they kind of put her up on a pedestal a little bit in this series, but like we talked about in the last episode, I mean, she is a Nexus being, meaning she's one of the most powerful beings in our reality. And so just that chaos magic being specifically the probability magic, so being able to change probability and warp reality, like Chris said, like that's kind of the whole piece of it. And so again, in the comics, there's a little different dynamic between these two. So again, Agatha teaches Scarlet Witch how to use her powers. So I do find it kind of interesting that they're touching on that, and the fact that, I mean, and we'll talk about it more, but like she didn't really understand all these powers that she actually has that she's using. And so it's almost like Agatha's walking her through like, hey, by the way, you use powers there, you use that power, you use this power throughout all the different flashbacks to kind of almost show like you have all these abilities.
So when I was Googling, just because I had no knowledge of her Agatha's character, when I was Googling her, it said that she was a teacher of Wanda in the comics. Is that accurate? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
got it.
We have some experts in the chat too.
Yeah,
nice.
I brought the people out of one of the Marvel discords, so we should have some good knowledge floating around in there.
Good deal. It's a good point right there.
Still haven't seen it. Well, I know it's
really
more than just a series.
I thought you like Cavill.
Huh?
I thought you liked Cavill.
I had thought. I'm shocked that you haven't seen it. For some reason, I thought you had watched it already.
Especially like because the hair is kind of your thing, and
I haven't. Well, I know that this is unrelated, but it's just one of those things. I've heard that it's hard to follow at times as far as
it
timeline.
So
So I just haven't.
We're getting sidetracked, guys.
I haven't gotten around. Oh yeah, I said I know that's unrelated.
Wrong show.
That's all right.
Wrong show.
Yeah.
Well, you can blame this person. Okay.
Audible.
We blame you.
That's great.
Just kidding. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Great to see a busy chat.
So we did find out too, kind of as she was walking her back through, it sounds like we've got the Pietro mystery somewhat solved. Obviously don't know that we know that it's not her brother's brother from the Marvel universe now officially. Like,
yeah,
she made it clear when she said that it's not necromancy. It will be interesting to see. Do you think that's something where they still? First off, do you think he's going to be a part of the next episode, or do you think his character is?
The last time we saw him was
the way
Snooper's going to snoop. I got to think he's coming back something.
That would be such a lame way to write off his character.
So it'll be interesting because I still think there's some outstanding questions with this character, right? Like one, she pretty much just said, hey, this is fake Pietro. I was using him essentially as a totem so she could talk through him to
Trenton, we hear you,
try
brother.
to get the answers.
Stay tuned this week. We got you. Promise.
So definitely she was using Pietro as kind of like a totem to ask the questions of how did you do this, right? Like the questions he was asking at the Halloween part, you could tell that was just Agatha asking those questions. Yeah. But the other part of it is he does have super speed. So that's kind of one of those odd things. Like, how does he have that? So it'll be interesting to see him in the next episode. And maybe we'll get some kind of crazy showdown between the Pietro and, the son, Quicken, and have them doing some kind of crazy. Because, I mean, again, we all know that was the best part or one of the best parts of any of those X-Men movies when he was doing his slow-mo runs and stuff. So it'd be interesting if they bring that into this beyond what they did with the Halloween candy, right? Like give a real epic battle with it.
They've got budget to play with. We know that.
Yeah.
Although we did finally see some budget for sure.
That's true.
Especially with these flashbacks.
This is true. Yep. Some cool set pieces in this one too.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about we kind of finally got a like proper Wanda flashback origin-ish type treatment in this show. You know, she's been in the movies forever, but we never really got beyond surface level with her with that stuff. Was there anything in the flashback that stood out to you guys? For me, it was cool to see the Stark Industries.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially the tie-in with the old toaster commercial.
Hadn't we already seen that?
Yeah. Do
we have seen just the bomb in Age of Ultron. I believe it was Age of Ultron. Maybe it was Civil War when they did
I need
that.
to rewatch that movie.
Yeah, I know that was a thing, and I assumed it was Age of Ultron. But yeah, the Stark Industries. I think they just showed them under the bed and seeing it, and then that's basically it. But
gotcha.
But
no, it was definitely cool. Kind of her pointing out that it wasn't the bomb was faulty, which is what she's believed this whole time. It's the fact that she used her probability magic to essentially make it not go off, which is why they were fine that it didn't go off for 2 days.
Yeah, and I liked having Agatha in all the flashbacks, kind of giving the summary of what was happening. It's like, all right, we're not going to leave this open to interpretation. Like, here's what happened. Here's this. And
I dug how they phased her into it. Where she was like, "You're on," and just kind of like pushed her into the scene. I thought that was cool. Instead of doing like the like having her just watch things from the sidelines and chatting with her the whole time. But we did see the we got to look at this the Scarlet Witch silhouette when
that's Phoenix, right?
With the scepter Mind Stone. What were you saying?
And now there is a weird part that I've seen pointed out in some other subreddits or Facebook posts where if you look in that image, there's a person standing at the bottom as well. So you have her outline.
A few things on that.
So
some people saying like it's just her legs. Some people saying it's person standing.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think I looked at it and I was like, I feel like that's just her legs.
So,
but I agree. I didn't notice it until I started seeing like on the Facebook with people circling it and stuff, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, she does have her whole headgear and everything, so we may actually see the full-fledged costume possibly in Doctor Strange or something.
I don't know if you guys saw, but I saw somewhere somebody had taken a real high-res still of this, and they adjusted the levels to you could see that it was Elizabeth Olsen's face there.
Oh, really?
Kind of a cool deep dive into that.
Very cool. Yeah, that would be cool to see. It was nice to get that, obviously, the little Halloween costume nod in the middle of the season, but it would be cool to see her actually not just be wearing like high heels and a leather trench coat or whatever that she.
Well, she's officially got the name now, so
This is the first time they've actually said the name. They've gotten close in several movies or several scenes, but this is
right.
We thought it was Wonder Woman too.
They already put that on the screen. You missed it.
Oh, sorry. I got to keep up.
So, what are everybody's thoughts on this little?
Come on, be professional.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's not my thing, you know. What were you saying?
So,
Britt?
Well, I think Chris was asking what are everybody's thoughts kind of on the scene. I actually kind of want to take a step back, kind of that's sort of related, but within the flashback of the Mind Stone piece, right? Like she's being experimented on. The stone raises up, comes to her, and then exposes itself to say, like, hey, this is the Mind Stone underneath this blue gem in the scepter. So there's two pieces there. One is that kind of leads into this scene. And so if you recall back in the first Avengers, every time I think it's Nick Fury says it, but he asked him like, what did the scepter show you? Like when Hawkeye got turned and a few other people, and essentially every time that happened, it was the Mind Stone showing them something. And so it's almost like it was showing them their true self, because I think it was Hawkeye was like, it showed him all the bad things he had done through his career and stuff. So like, I think it's interesting because this is like the Mind Stone showing her like, this is your potential true potential of who you should be. But I also want to point out that when they watch the video, it jump cuts, just like it does when inside this hex and Wanda doesn't want people to see stuff. Like the same thing happens when the guards are watching from the moment she walks in and then she's on the ground. So
and we
I think that
did
was
see
kind of
them react to the Mind Stone like revealing itself. So we saw real time them react, but then them playing it back, you see that skip too.
Yeah, so it's like she altered part of reality, I guess, which was just kind of interesting with it being a TV and tying back to kind of some of the show stuff. But that was kind of my take.
And my take on that kind of reaction was it seemed like they obviously everybody else died when they tried to expose them to it. So it would kind of indicate that she had some latent abilities, and the Mind Stone awakened them, or whatever you want to call it. Do you think that's a hint at mutation, or
that's kind of what I mean, me as a layman, that's what I kind of assumed they were doing, but seems like Britt may have. You got something else
going on over there.
It's in a place, man.
I don't want to be real confident when I say yes. I mean, I'm looking at Brett like, Britt, can I say yes?
Right.
Can I say yes? Okay.
Brandon just like stops.
I just like Batman. I don't know.
Can you confirm so I can say this confidently? No, I think so. I mean, they use kind of the saying around that of Agatha says, you were born a witch. And I think if you look kind of at how they explain mutants in all the X-Men stuff, essentially you're born with your powers, but it isn't until they're teenagers and an awakening moment happens, usually a moment of stress or something like that, that awakens their powers. And if you think about it, like the first time she used her powers, there's literally a bomb that just killed her parents sitting in front of her, right? Like, so I think that, yes, and this is how they can easily kind of start to bring in this idea of mutants, because again, if you think about it like in what we think about witches, it would be somebody who studies witchcraft, learns how to do spells, which is what Agatha's kind of talking about. But essentially she knew how to do all these spells without ever being taught, because her mom wasn't a witch teaching her these things. So I do think it's a hint at mutants without saying the word yet. I think the word is coming, maybe not in this series.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's definitely coming. I mean, if because they couldn't use Scarlet Witch until the Fox deal was made, right? So they're already
or the word
down
mutant,
that.
or it's interesting. And the other part about that is you mentioned it, Ryan, about the fact that everybody else that came in contact with this stone died. Previous to that, I mean, it kind of harkens back a little bit to the Phoenix. Because with the Phoenix power and all of that, like it tried to consume a lot of people, and it wasn't until Jean Grey had actually stuck into an entity. Right. So, and I'm not going off of the terrible movie that came out. I'm going off of more of the old 90s cartoon that everybody loves. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a callback in my eyes of a hint, indirectly, I guess.
Yeah. This comment is similar to kind of what I was assuming as far as like it being some like dormant gene that like a traumatic event kind of, and it causes it to like, come to fruition or
Deadpool style.
Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
That was a movie, right?
It
was a movie before a comic, right, Chris?
Yeah. That is true.
And the Inhumans were a little different, because in the show, the Inhumans, it was because they got exposed to the crystal dust that actually, heightened their abilities. But for mutants specifically, it was always a traumatic, event happened.
Yeah. So we also had another flashback of her after Vision died, of her actually going into Sword and trying to see his body or bury his body, like she said, and it turns out it's a little bit different than what it was explained to be.
What did you guys think? Did y'all feel like, so this scenario is kind of messed up on their part to just let her go down there. Like, it felt like the director or whatever his name is was prodding her almost.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely felt that way.
Like he wanted this to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know
So
if you guys felt that
It
way.
felt to me like he wanted to kind of make it clear that this, like, he was taking him apart and this was the end of it. Don't think about it anymore. And they were crafting their own weapon instead.
So I got a little different idea there, but I don't know, Chris, if you've got thoughts around this first.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts were he definitely was prodding. It seems like for the past 2 years, whatever it was, that the snap kind of had everyone gone and Vision being dead, that they've just been trying to bring their own Vision online. So it seemed to me that he was just using the opportunity to maybe manipulate her, prod a little bit, see if he could get her to kind of make that happen. Kind of just what he said, if you've got the ability to bring him online, sorry, back to life. So it definitely felt like a push, a manipulation to me.
Yeah. That's where I was going to go with that, is like, so the scenes that you saw of her standing there looking over and Vision all in pieces, those are straight from comic book panels that happened when they were rebuilding Vision. So I agree with that. I think it was one of those that, he was trying to see if she would bring him back. I don't know how he knew that she had the powers to do that. But I definitely think it was one of those where he was trying to kind of see if she could or would bring them back so that they could use them. But kind of the fake out was the fact that the whole series, it's almost like we were led to believe she took the body, took them back, and revived them inside of there. So I did think it was crazy. Like when she left the building, he was still there. I was going, wait. Why is he still there? And then you learn in a little bit, but I thought that was a cool fake out. And
I feel like with Marvel, it's one of those things where, like, if you went back and rewatched the first their episodes prior, you'd probably notice things about Vision's character that would indicate that he's not actually there. Just knowing how they like to drop that kind of stuff in.
Yeah, it like explains the fact he doesn't really have all his memories, right? Because like all that was really broken from Thanos was he took the stone out, which his memories and stuff should be for the most part there, and potentially going back to like Infinity War and stuff. Like Shuri was trying to disconnect the gem anyway and got fairly close. We don't really know what percentage or anything where she was to being able to remove the gem. So. In theory, there should still be a lot of working pieces still in Vision, so his memory shouldn't have been completely wiped. Yeah,
this was, and I had it up a second ago, but this is one of the coolest set pieces, in my opinion, that we've seen in the show so far. And when they showed him kind of pulling apart the arms and stuff with all the wiring and whatnot, it's like, oh, there's a little budget there. Okay, all right.
Pretty gnarly.
Brandon's gotta love that.
Dude, yeah. I was wondering if you would have, because I remember you having a big issue with the RoboCop remake when they had that disassembled like body.
Oh,
thing.
I hate that.
Even though this is not like
it so much.
And you had a problem because of the visual nature of it
and stuff. Yeah, like it was just This is very.
This is a little
different. Talk about it.
Yeah. Stop it.
I think what was nice about this scene is you got the emotion out of the scene.
Very true.
I think she did so well of giving that emotion of like, I'm seeing my loved one literally on the table getting ripped apart, and it took her a second to actually understand what was there. Again, in shock and all that kind of stuff. Like I thought it was really done well in the scene.
So you were saying that this scene was straight, like it because it was a very this shot was very stylized to me compared to anything that we've seen in the show so far. So like in comics, is that like is it that aerial shot looking down at the body?
It's a pretty cool shot.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's there's two. Like one is where she was standing looking through the glass with the director behind her. That's also out of there. Now that it wasn't the director behind her in the comics, it was a different character, but that shot and the above shot with him kind of all on pieces of the table were all straight out of the comic.
Gotcha. Yeah, that I it's interesting to hear you say that, because when I saw this, I was like, this seems a little bit more inspired than a lot of the stuff we've seen visually in the show.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Al. Al's dropping in with some factoids.
Did not
That
know
was
that.
the point I was going to bring up next.
Yeah. What else you got, Al?
Now, I kind of going off the stylization. Like, I feel like they've done a lot of pieces to me through the comics, but I think this is the first episode where they were taking a lot of frames from comics. So like even the Agatha, being at the stake, like we talked about before, like that was straight from the comics. Now it was slightly different. It wasn't the Covenant, but it was still her on the stake,
right?
And essentially being burned. But and kind of going back to that for a second, Brandon, you mentioned like the energy beam. Like really, it was like they were all attacking her, and then she started draining their energy, which I think we'll figure out more about a little bit later with just what does that mean of her stealing power from other witches. Yeah, no.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brandon. Sorry.
Nope. You good? Nope.
Oh, I thought you were saying something. So we moved from the lab to, she leaves and she heads to a neighborhood, a new house lot, and
Wait, can we rewind to her getting in the car when she finds the deed? Did that just show up, or did she have it before? I was a little confused. It seems like it just kind of like somebody placed that.
That was something I wanted to ask Britt, because I was not able to watch it twice. So did that just pop up, or was it?
I mean, we didn't see her like pull up and get out, and like we weren't able to look in the car to see if it was there before she got there. But I agree. It's almost like
her reaction seems.
It's almost like it should have been like given to her as she was leaving. Like, hey, by the way, this was on Vision or something, right?
Yeah.
Like I thought when she first got in the car, and I saw it too, I was like, oh, who snuck in there and gave her some kind of file, right? Like the cataract file or just something.
And it was weird too, because it was open. Like it felt like that was very intentional too. I was like, oh, but like she just had it.
Yeah. It wasn't really explained too much, unless again it was something she had, and then she led her to go say, I got to go find Vision. And but it was almost, I don't know, when she looked at it, it was almost like it was the first time she ever saw it too. So
that's the only thing that threw me about it.
We'll have an episode 9 flashback, or an episode 8 flashback in episode 9.
Yeah, somebody
they do like flashbacks in this
document.
So yeah,
they do.
But maybe the behind the scenes they'll explain that scene a little bit more. That's coming the following week. So.
Yeah, exactly.
We know it's Disney. They're gonna milk it.
Yes,
they did this for other shows.
Mickey. So the new house lot where she shows up and kind of lets it rip her frustration and creates the hex, which I thought was another little budget shot there for sure. Felt a lot more cinematic than a lot of the stuff we'd seen. What did you guys think of that scene in general, and her kind of in tandem with that creating an image of Vision in their home around her also?
Who wants to go?
Brandon? Chris?
I don't want to steal all the time.
I feel like Brandon,
I thought it was a cool scene.
I feel like the whole time Brandon's like, yeah, let's see what
Brandon's just waiting.
Say, and then
guys, I liked seeing her like trip through Westview, and we kind of were reminded that the world isn't in the best spot since the snap. Like it seemed a little dilapidated, and I have to assume like that's kind of why. Which I think is good that they do with the amount of time we've had off from seeing the MCU. Maybe you kind of forget that the world was in disarray. Like it was treated as a joke in Far From Home, and that was kind of it, like a little bit in the last Avengers movie. So it was like cool to see again, and we're getting more of that budget with the effects after the fact.
I just thought it was weird that she was driving a car.
What?
She can fly.
Just
just strange seeing her driving a car. Like she's usually not. She's like flying around everywhere. She's just like suburban.
Hey, Brandon, just leave it to Britt. Let's hear what Britt has to say.
I mean,
I'm just messing with you.
I mean, you know, like Wonder Woman. Apparently, after this last movie, she can fly, and we didn't see that. So you know,
You just have to feel
good
the
though.
air.
She can't. Yeah.
So no, I it is one of those things, right? Like, and they kind of hinted at that in the other episode, right? With Vision riding in the car and then being like, "Wait a minute,
Yeah,
I can
that's
just
true.
fly out of here."
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah,
um,
that's a good point.
you know, just being normal in some way. But no, I thought it was really cool. Just and to your point, Chris, when she was driving in, seeing all the characters and going, oh, okay, well, there's that guy. Well, there's that guy. There's the pizza delivery guy is this mailman / UPS type driver and stuff like.
Yeah.
That was just kind of like cool nods as they were going through.
Yeah.
It would have been cool to see this Pietro character like somewhere to be like, okay, you're giving us a real answer, like, is he real? Is he not type thing? But because again, we still haven't really seen him anywhere else. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of next episode.
So, I mean, are we to assume whenever they did that Agatha Harkness reveal, they show her doing her like the purple stuff to him whenever he's at the door, whenever he shows up? Yeah. So are we just to assume that he's just Agatha just created him and that she's controlling
I'm
Pietro?
hoping to grab
This,
the
and similarly,
multiverse.
I guess the way that that Wanda created her version of Vision, and we'll get into the other one later. But
yeah, no, I don't think he's created. I don't think she has the power. Like, she doesn't have the power to create, right? She already said that when she was going through with Wanda. She said that she can transmute, change what stuff looks like, but she can't.
I stand corrected.
I feel like she.
This is why.
something.
This is why I wait on Britt to talk. Okay, I let him talk first.
We'll talk about Batman next time, Brandon.
That's why Britt's here. All right, he's just keeping us in line. All right,
But yeah, but like I do think he's just a person there. I think the purple's just showing that she's kind of controlling them. So again, she's mind controlling a lot of people, like you saw.
Purple. See?
Yeah, when the guy was cutting
Purple.
the bushes and that kind of stuff, like, and then she tapped him on the shoulder. Like, I think she's mind controlling, and this is just a random person. I think that this is is just my opinion, but I think it's just a nod to the fans of like, hey, this guy looks like Quicksilver, and we're just gonna do that. So.
Which is honestly, and we already kind of got past that in the previous episodes. Disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty disappointing.
So I'm still holding on to hope
So
that she just grabbed something from somewhere else.
in one of the early episodes, we had that shot of Vision, like dead Vision, actually. So if she can't create, then isn't his body still there? Like, or am I missing something? Like, I know that they were dismantling him, and we've got White Vision at the end, but like,
so Wanda can create. Yeah, so Wanda can create out of thin air.
Gotcha.
And so so kind of answering the question before, she created Vision from nothing. She created the boys from nothing.
Her sons.
Which is the whole. That's why she's the Scarlet Witch. She can do tons of stuff at the same time, but I think like with Pietro, I think that was just, I don't know how, but I think Agatha knew because she knows about the Infinity Stone. She knows about a lot of stuff. So she knew about her brother. And because she couldn't go get his body because it's in Sokovia, bullets, she mentions that. Like, I think she just took a random person. And because Scarlet Witch is where she is right now, like, it didn't matter that he didn't look the same. It just kind of like, oh, okay, you said you're my brother's name and you can run real fast. So yes, you're my brother. So I think there's some magic there that she's done just to convince. And again, I think she was kind of using him and talking through. I hope, just like you guys, I hope that we'll see that there's some other thing that he did come from a multiverse and he's from the other X-Men movies. But I honestly think this is just a nod for Kevin Feige to be like, by the way, we know we have X-Men. We want to do this for you, and eventually you'll get some recastings. But we know that there's some favorites out there, and even though we can't necessarily bring them in right now or whatever, here's some fan fave stuff.
Yeah. Tinfoil hat theory for you. So when she creates Westview, or the hex around Westview and everything, and they're in their house, and the last thing she creates is Vision, and you just kind of see like, you know, the yellow Mind Stone deal. Do we think there's a chance, because like we've talked about before, like Marvel's not big on, very rarely do they kill off characters. Do we think that it's possible that she somehow, like, could somehow be Vision's consciousness, and maybe like he could end up taking over White Vision's body or something? Like,
it's kind of my head's at with it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility for it. Like,
okay.
I do think the yellow is part of the Mind Stone. I think when she interacted with the Mind Stone, it's somehow attached to her in some way, and it's why going through all of these things, like looking back at, you know, even Infinity War, when she's kind of interacting with this stone with her magic, and it's like, I can feel you, I can do all of this. Like, I think that there's part of the Mind Stone is still connected with her, and so when she built Vision, I do think that is the Mind Stone. And yeah, I mean, there's a high possibility that they decide like, hey, I'm going to meld this, and spoilers, as we're talking about all spoilers, but the after the credit scene with the White Vision, like, that could be it. And White Vision comes straight from the comics. Essentially, when Vision dies, Tony Stark and them try to rebuild Vision, and they need the emotions of Wonder Man, who is they use on the original Vision, for a consciousness, won't give them that again because he's in love with Wanda. So essentially, the White Vision has no feelings, has no emotions, and that's
in
what
comics. Obviously,
Wanda
they
crazy.
make him look menacing here. Is he a villain in the comics?
I don't think he's, and Chris, you may know a little bit more. I don't think he's necessarily a villain. I just don't think I think he's kind of bad, but I think it's kind of like
He's just kind
no
of
emotion, so he doesn't have right or wrong. So
gotcha.
Yeah, I never read any of those ones, but from the little snippets I had seen, just kind of leading up to this, it seemed like you said, he was kind of just this blank slate. I don't know if any of you guys ever watched the new Bill and Ted Face the Music movie.
Right
he
when
looks
Al
exactly
leaves.
like the Dennis Caleb McCoy character to me, who's just a joke. So I have a really hard time taking this White Vision serious that they've gotten here.
I honestly, when I saw this, I was like, finally we get to see Paul Bettany be a villain, because he's supposed to be a villain with that face. Like, to me, he always just looks like an evil character, and it's so weird to see him playing this.
You getting some like Frieza vibes over there, Ryan?
Yeah. There you go.
we got in the chat. You got the White Walker Vision in the chat there.
Yeah.
No. So here's tinfoil hatting, right? So just like you were saying, put the tinfoil hat on. What if? So we're at the point where the Mind Stone is no longer there, right? So the Mind Stone isn't there. Potentially, maybe Jarvis isn't there. This is the body of Vision back to the core. What if we see James Spader come back, and this is Ultron?
Oh,
I was kind of wondering about like an Ultron thing with this, given like the origins.
That would be cool, because
Yeah.
he was kind of wasted in Age of Ultron. As far as
that would be cool. And I feel like that would be something, because everybody's been speculating about who this guest is going to be in the last episode. Like somebody he's always wanted to work. Paul Bettany's always wanted to work with.
Yeah.
And do I?
Well,
that's what like Chris is getting at. They already worked together on Age of Ultron.
Did they?
So that was like the caveat.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Somebody that he hadn't worked with. So it's,
I think that's
probably going to be Ben Affleck.
I think to be honest, I think that's the hard part when this whole like it's somebody he wants to always work with. Like, I've seen the whole it may just be himself he wants to work with himself, and now he's going to be in the situation where it's Paul Bettany Vision versus Paul Bettany White Vision. The other part about it is people have said, well, it's just Doctor Strange, but again, they've been in several movies together, like with Infinity War and stuff like that. Maybe they worked together because they were on sets or whatever, because in those huge movies. But I don't know. I still think it's like somebody crazy that we're not thinking of, whether it's the boss spoiler or something,
like a Mephisto casting.
Yeah. So I don't know though. I mean, I just thought that would be an interesting concept of like, now we have the White Vision. He's similar to, again, how Ultron was being set up. I wouldn't give it a high probability, but I just think it'd be a cool.
Dude, that reeks of Marvel. I could totally see them doing that.
Yeah.
Because everybody was stoked about that casting when it happened too. Like, I can see them trying. It wasn't the most highly received Marvel movie, so I can see them trying to get a second crack at it.
Yeah, and if you look,
I was just say, I mean, Rusty was trying to call us out for saying, or me, I guess, saying that it was a wasted thing with Ultron, but the movie was titled Age of Ultron, and it was like a day or two, so could have not much of an age.
His age could have been a little longer. But no, I mean, I think the other thing that's interesting, if you look back, and again, this is tinfoil hat here, but if you look back at that movie, Ultron was white. So when there was the Jarvis versus Ultron battle of who's taking over everything, Ultron was white, Jarvis was yellow. Again, yellow Mind Stone. Now there's no Mind Stone; it's all white. Again, it'd be an interesting concept, but
that makes sense, because after the Mind Stone was removed, he turns kind of whitish gray in Infinity War, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A little more purplish gray, I guess, but yeah, it's same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He loses his color.
Got one right. Can
we get a little ding, like tick mark for Brandon on his box? All right, guys.
Ultron,
as always,
aged 2 days.
I want to ask you before we wrap up. I want to ask you, because I kind of went through my list here, but I do want to make sure that if you guys have anything that you wanted to you wanted to bring up, that you have a chance to. So,
best line of the episode. That accent come and goes, doesn't it?
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah, I was, because that's I always joke with Brandon about how I can't stand that part of her character, and like just seeing that scene, I was like, I take it all back. That was
at least they're aware.
It was worth it. Yeah. Chris, you got anything?
So one thing I saw when I watched a couple people's like reactions was they were pointing out, as you entered these flashbacks or when you were in them, they would use music maybe we saw before. Like I think the first one was kind of that Avengers scene where they had just lost to Thanos. And I think there was like a happier Avengers theme used in the next flashback where it was like played in a minor, though, that gave it like a darker feel. And they were saying how like each piece of music called back to something. One thing that stood out to me that I haven't heard anybody mention was when Agatha is sitting at like the behind the scenes of the TV show towards the end and she starts clapping for Wanda. It's a really weird, irregular clap. Like, it's not like her just like slow clapping. It was just, the pace was weird. It would stop and go. And I didn't know if, I'll be honest, I know Brandon and Ryan, you didn't pay attention to that, but maybe Britt does something you noticed. And you
Brandon knows I've got no rhythm, so the clap sounded great to me.
That is
that's something I think I noticed it when it happened on the episode when I was watching it, but not enough to be like, I wonder if that's something like that. It was just an awkward thing. I think
that seems like something that Britt would eat up. Like,
I'm gonna have to go back and watch it now and check it out.
We get text messages throughout the week, and he'll just send us like stills from the episodes. He's like, "You see that in the background, out of focus, off to the left? No, behind the other guy."
I love that he added you, Chris. At Chris,
I know. I'll go. I'm taking Rusty's spot anyway.
No, the other thing I think was cool is, again, we mentioned a little bit before, but like going back in the flashback, really hitting into a lot of the commercials, and most of these we already knew what they were, but I think the shark one was one of those we really weren't sure about. But I think that this episode actually like really tells us what it is. And the shark is Agatha. So, essentially the shark is like saying, I want your magic, right? Yo magic is the yogurt. And based on that, flashback at the beginning, she's draining magic from all those other witches, including her mom, to get her power up. And so I think at this point, she's trying to figure out how Wanda's doing all of this so that she can steal her magic and be able to do it. So I think that's kind of this whole part of, she wants to figure out how to do it. She wants to take Wanda's magic. And I think she's pushing Wanda so she loses control of her magic. So she went and told Vision, like, oh, I think you're dead. There was a reason why she was out at those outskirts, right? She wasn't under a spell when Vision touched her head. So I think it's one of those things, like she was pushing Vision to be like, hey, you need to try to leave the hex so that Wanda essentially has to expand the hex, use more of her magic, lose more of her focus so that she can maybe she won't be as powerful. So Agatha has a chance against her, in a battle. Yeah. So
I mean, that's man. You get
he's like in tune with this like we are with Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Like you're in the woods on this side of the fence.
That's one thing
we're like,
I did want to.
We're like, that's great. That's we didn't ever.
I love
about
that. That's one thing that I was going to bring up too. Is this show is the first thing I've ever watched that Marvel Studios has done where like I feel like I'm really essentially just watching it as like a casual movie fan because I have no knowledge of these characters. So it's a little bit of a weird experience for me.
Yeah.
It's cool to have these discussions with you guys because like it clarifies a lot of stuff that Hey, Britt, plug your podcast, by the way. You got folks in here tonight that you're herding our way.
Yeah. So it's so I stream on Twitch. I do a lot of DSA content, which is Disney Sorcerer's Arena. Mondays, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. ish. Over on twitch.com/defaultdan. So you can hang out with us. Again, I love Marvel, as you can tell, so we chat about that sometimes as well. But yeah, definitely enjoying hanging out with you guys. I'll definitely see if I can get all these guys back in here on our future episodes as well.
I really like having this chat, as busy as it is.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. You get rusty in there. You can't shut up.
Talk about themes.
Yeah, I love you, Rusty.
I think the only other question I wanted to go around with, so just to kind of leave it on this, if we're looking into the next episode, right? We know it's about, they say it's a 50-minute runtime. You take out all the other stuff, it's going to be another 40-something minute episode. But there's a lot they have to kind of condense in this 40-minute, right? We have the new Vision going on. We have this Agatha versus Wanda battle. We've got Maria Rambeau out there with Pietro. Yeah. A lot of stuff happening. They're going to have to kind of wrap up. We still have the major cameos. So what are your guys' predictions? You could name like 1 to 3 things, just depending. What do you think your predictions are in the last episode?
God, that's so tough. There's so many open storylines right now. I think we're gonna see more Pietro, and I really hope we do. Just because and I guess they could bring him back in other material, but it just seems if they left it at where they left it the last time we saw him, that'd be kind of a bummer. Like I would like to see his, even if it, if it's not him, I still would like to see his role get paid off a little bit more. The next episode.
What about you, Brandon? Yeah. Or do you have a couple others?
No, I was just I was trying to pick between Brandon and Chris. They're both so good looking, It's tough.
I don't know. I'm hoping, knowing we've talked about this, but knowing that Wanda Vision plays a part into Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange. I'm interested to see how much, if at all. I assume they connect that into that movie in terms of the multiverse. I'm wondering if that will be a thing that's addressed in this episode and to what effect. But I'm hoping that there's a good climactic battle. Obviously, I hope that the budget comes into play here, and that we get a good, at least a solid 15-20 minute battle. And yeah, I want to see
He wants Man of Steel length. That's what he wants.
45, 50-minute
He just
battle.
wants Man of Steel.
I just want Man of Steel. That's true. That's true. That's what I want. I'll just watch that instead.
Yeah. What I watched was a lot different from what you guys watched.
But no, I kind of talked about this last episode, but I don't know how much longevity this series has for me in terms of like repeat watching return value. And I'm just waiting to see what the big reveal thing is, the big, person that's going to be the cameo. I appreciate a lot of the layering that's going on. I'm just not as obsessed with it as Britt is, and that's not a diss.
Tyler's a smart man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate having you to kind of and Chris as well to kind of shed light on all that stuff. But yeah, for me, I'm still watching it like kind of like surface level. Like, yeah, this is I'm enjoying the ride. I'm not going to return to it, but it's enjoyable. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
You said a couple. How about you, Chris? Any big items you're looking forward to in this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of a mix for me. There's some items that I kind of expect and might be disappointed if I don't see. So like a vision on vision, maybe kind of having like the mind meld with the true body type of thing is what
We're
I'm
a PG
starting
podcast,
to expect. So I think, maybe Vision's resurrection in a sense would be one of them. I think maybe like a reveal or a hint, a stronger hint to Mephisto would be another, or if it's a Nightmare or whatever version that they want to do.
Wait, you say Nightmare? You're talking about DC now?
Yeah.
Snyder Cut?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah. That would be awesome.
Justice League 2?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
That's where the
trench coats for
Batman
everybody.
thing comes in.
Yeah.
That's where it's
We
going to
live in a society.
This is your moment, Brandon.
Yeah. Now we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Chris, what is you seem pretty I guess of all of us, you seem pretty or the most confident that it could be Mephisto, I guess, still pulling the strings. Or Britt, are you still feeling that way?
I think
it's too late.
Could easily, it could easily be Mephisto. Like,
Yeah.
But do you think I feel like it's too late in the game to be doing, unless that's revealed that's the big name that they're going to introduce last episode that plays into a later movie or something. But
we're going to get more behind the witches and that kind of satanic thing. So between like Agatha a little bit more into the lore, Wanda kind of being this prophecy, the kids and kind of their origin in the comics with being linked to Mephisto. And he was a pretty big villain in the comics that reached across a lot of different characters, not just like a Scarlet Witch character. And it seems like there's been a few little like hints to it throughout, so I'm kind of like looking for it. So I'd be like a little disappointed if we didn't get there. But as far as what I'm looking for, that it's more of just a hope, is still holding on to the Evan Peters Quicksilver being a real like multiverse crossover. Just because, like Brandon said, we are going into the multiverse. We know that with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. We've seen hints at it here. Whether it's Evan Peters himself being a hint or just her having a vision of herself maybe from another reality, and the Nexus commercial with her linking across these different possibilities, probabilities, dimension, whatever however they're going to title it. So just given all of the multiverse type hints, I'm just not so much expecting, but just hoping that we get like confirmation that we have the real Evan Peters Quicksilver. He's got the speed, so I don't know.
That's been the highlight. That was like my highlight moment of this show so far.
Yeah,
was just the door opening there.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
but they pan around to which one we got.
Yeah, yeah.
The door. It felt like the door was kind of shut pretty quickly, and so as far as the the whole Quicksilver angle. I mean, I
know. Hope, all right.
But I know it's not
In his
his
world,
finished.
it means hope.
It all connects.
Brandon's like, I can't disagree with that.
Yeah,
Good point,
I'll
Chris.
take that one.
And when I look at it, I mean, there's a couple big openings, and so I still don't think we've seen that aerospace engine. I think we're going to get that drop. The biggest thing about this episode is there's going to be the episode and there's going to be an after the credit scene. The question is, what is the after the credit scene? Is it the scene we're going to get, which will happen at some point, right, with Doctor Strange? Is that just too obvious to where maybe the aerospace engineer is what we see as the end credit, which is maybe a lead in to eventual potential Fantastic Four movie? Is it, it depends when this whole multiverse is going to happen, I think is what breaks down. And so, again, I don't know if this would be a potential spoiler or anything, but we've talked about it before. The reason why Wanda goes crazy and shatters all these universes and the multiverse together is she loses her children. And she loses her children because she loses focus and she can't keep them there, essentially. Mm-hmm. So there's a high probability that we see somebody like Mephisto show up, and that happens because she's overextending her powers in this battle. Her children essentially die or disappear or whatever, which could then lead into this whole thing. But I definitely think we're going to see a Mephisto and or a Nightmare. It's got to be one of those two as the big bad. I think it's going to be very close to the end, but it has to explain the book, right? The book that she had down in the dungeon, and the fact that even in her flashback, they were like, you're using the dark arts. So like, I think there's a lot there that's going to be explained. But those are the big ones that I'm looking forward to. It that big, huge fight scene with explaining the potential of Mephisto or Nightmare coming, and then the cameo. And again, I think the cameo is probably going to be the after the credit scene, and it's going to be a huge name star that's going to be popping in at that point. And my hope is it's, again, either Reed Richards, and if they haven't cast him yet, maybe it's Von Doom, like we talked about before. Yeah. And we're going to get some potential Doctor Doom hints, which
I want to see Professor
right
X.
into that movie.
Yeah. I'll take any of them.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, gents. I guess that kind of wraps it up, unless anybody else has anything they want to touch on.
Did we address?
Should we give the chat a minute?
The
Monica
Rambeau, like how we see that playing out.
Britt, go ahead.
I think she's going to help. I think she's going to help in the battle. Like we already saw the fact that she could pretty much resist some of Wanda's powers.
Yeah.
So if she can resist Wanda's powers, she's going to be able to resist Agatha's powers. So I think she's going to play a big role, but we may see something where she's having to fight Quicksilver or, Hydra first before she can get there. But I do think we'll see.
It just seems like, kind of like you were saying, Britt, it just seems like there's a lot to do in 45 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's and we haven't even talked about the fact that Sword's about to come through that barrier as well. Vision's there,
true.
But they may even bring in some other stuff. So there's a lot.
It's especially if they. I guess it could make sense if they do end up bringing in another villain, kind of like what you were talking about, having Monica Rambeau fighting what ends up being the B villain or whatever. Maybe if they do bring in somebody, Agatha becomes that B villain, and they both have powers, so it could be a good fight. But yeah. Well, I guess we'll find out next week, guys.
We will.
It's gonna be our last.
This week.
This week. Yeah. It's gonna be our last.
Let's talk about it next week.
That's right. It's gonna be our last WandaVision episode.
Sad.
I know.
Guess what? Do Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
We got a
Loki.
week in between. We got a week in between, which will be that behind the scenes, like they've done with The Mandalorian and all of those. So we'll have that episode out in between, and then we'll, again, Snyder Cut, followed by Falcon Winter Soldier. Snyder Cut on Thursday, Falcon Winter Soldier on Friday.
I just can't wait to have.
I'm going to be honest with you, Britt.
Go ahead.
I don't even know if I will be able to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier that weekend. So we may just give you the keys to the podcast for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Let you do that. You can do that on your own. That's fine. Because I know Ryan and I are at least watching it twice in one day.
We're gonna have 2 streams going, live streams going at the same time from CAPECAST.
Yeah. So we got a couple questions out there. Brendan, I think it's Spectrum. So they're asking, is it Spectrum or Photon is the moniker she'll take? I think it's going to be Spectrum because they've already said Photon was the call name for her mom. And then the one below that is Wanda Vision stated for 1 season? And Kevin Feige said, currently it's only slated for 1 season. But never say never. So they could bring it back.
It seems to me like it's a very closed. I mean, who knows? We could see tomorrow or this week something completely different. But it feels like a very contained story to me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rusty. We are excited too. Appreciate that. And to answer and to address this one, yes, we did give them the keys today and last week and the week before.
Yeah,
that's why he's here.
I try to share.
No, we love it,
dude. Listen, I know,
Chris.
Do not apologize because we need you.
Too.
Here's the thing: we're gonna have to have you on here for some Snyder Cut talk, so we can try to impress you the way you impress us.
We'll try.
I mean, I've got a little bit of DC knowledge, just a little bit, not much.
Yeah.
So,
no.
Well, we've got a lot of Snyder knowledge, so
yeah.
Very
specific lane over here.
Yeah, my wife always makes fun of me because I'll like show her something Zack Snyder posted. I'm like, see what Zack did today? It's like, oh, you guys are on first name basis, huh?
Yeah. That's true.
All right, guys. I think it's about time we wrapped up. I guess we're at like an hour 7. So until next time,
everybody get in the comment section, joining in.
That's right. It's blowing up tonight. I love it.
Yeah, it made it pretty fun. Otherwise, you guys
for
are
sure.
We'll have to do some of these. I would love to do just a generic chat without having like a topic, like a review, so to speak, so that we can just pay more attention to the chat.
Yeah,
because it's hard to juggle sometimes. But yeah, appreciate all you guys chiming in.
Yep, it was awesome.
Definitely.
So until next time, follow us on Twitter at CapeCast Show. We're on there pretty much all day in some form. So if you want to talk comic book movies or anything geek, really, hit us up there. Also, hit that. That is true. Also, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on everything CapeCast, everything CiNEMACHiNE. And we've also got a special episode coming up this week. We are interviewing Eric Davis from Fandango, talking some Snyder Cut stuff. So you guys can, all the DC folks in the chat can get their fix with that interview. So
yeah,
we'll be back with that ASAP. So until next time, gents. Hey, Kelly.
Say hi. She thinks she's invisible.
Chris, Britt, Brandon.
So long. See you.
I appreciate it.
Roll it.